I like these pokeweed. I like pokeweed. I like that it makes a lot of biomass. The soldiers, the Confederate soldiers, used to write letters with it, using it as an ink, these berries. And I just throw them all over the place because I think that pokeweed is a really good chop and drop. We don't eat it. People say, do you eat it? Like, you know, anything that you have to boil 7 times and whatever, I'm not interested in it. Now my fingers are all purple, so you can tell that I voted. But I like it. I like it as a chop and drop. I like to have it in here. It grows a lot of lush foliage, and I often cut it a few times over the course of the year. I figure if it grows on poor soil and makes all of this beautiful mass, it's probably doing something good. Another thing we did here in the food forest that I want to show you guys, for our plant nursery, we grow a lot of plants. Obviously, that's what we do. We grow plants and we sell plants. But you'll see here, all of these trees, there's trees all through here. These little tree. If we get back behind this pokeweed, you'll see what I mean. There are trees all back through here. These are walnuts. I had the kids throw walnuts all over the food forest, and that was maybe 2 years ago. So we have walnut trees all over this area that we've allowed to grow, and we've not mowed them down or cut them down. When they go to sleep this winter, we will take them as bare root trees and we will put them in pots. And that's the time to transplant if you're going to do it. We don't want it to get too big. We've tested it with a tree that was this big, and we transplanted it when it was bare root, and it did great. We just stuck it out into the yard with a shovel just to see what would happen. But the food forest, if you have a plant nursery, can be a place where you just are naturally growing some of the plants for your nursery instead of having beds and irrigation and all that kind of stuff. This is all a spot where we have propagative material that we can grow out, and the walnuts are just one part of that. We do the same thing with our cassava. We grow cassava to eat, but we also have cuttings that we can sell for the plant nursery and that we can propagate from. Here's one of our chop and drop plants right here. These just start themselves. This is Albizia julibrissin, the dreaded mimosa tree. I don't really mind it because I can use it to feed other things. So we just throw them at the base of whatever happens to be around, whatever fruit tree. This is a black cherry tree that I cut the center of it out here. So hopefully we can keep it a little shorter and actually get the fruit off it, because many times they get so tall you can't actually get the fruit. See, here's more mimosa, and this mimosa's got the velvet beans growing on it. You guys probably saw us planting velvet beans out here. All nitrogen fixtures. Let's find somebody to feed these to. How about we feed it to this plum that's hiding back here? Here we also have our black locust. This is really nasty. You don't want to walk barefoot when you chop and drop these things. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to hold it while I cut it because the thorns are so bad. But it is a exceptional native nitrogen fixer, and the leaves are full of nitrogen. And we want it to not actually run over this plum tree. We want to feed it to the plum tree by keeping it at a manageable size. Very carefully throw it down on the ground. Anything that we have here that makes biomass, carbon, nitrogen, picks up minerals, that it'll help feed this ground. The idea is you don't have to keep bringing in mulch because you are growing your own mulch. Now, I'm not smart enough to have thought this up, obviously, but Jeff Lawton is really the one that got me interested in chop and drop, and I've used it to great effect with very poor Florida soils. You can see how tall this one is. This locust has grown probably 12 feet this year. That's pretty intense. Here we go. Look out, camera lady. And when we do this, we should be dropping some nitrogen into the ground from the root nodules beneath as well. I want you to take a look at these thorns. These are really nasty. There are nicer nitrogen fixers, but black locust has good blooms when it blooms. It's good for the bees. It's also a very good nitrogen fixer, and it's a native, and it has a really nice hard wood if you let it grow out, which we're obviously not doing since it's right next to this plum tree. You can see those thorns are really something else. Not nice to grow on your pathways. I made the mistake once of growing Jerusalem thorn as a nitrogen fixer, Parkinsonia aculeata, I think, something like that. You guys can check my Latin. And it's super thorny. It's a really cool looking plant, but I put it right alongside the path and I chopped and dropped it, and man, I kept stepping on pieces of it with my bare feet over and over again. It was really unpleasant. Go out to get the mail and end up thorns in your feet. This is an established island of plants here. You probably could see I've got blackberry right here, I've got sugarcane right here. I stuck in a lot of the velvet beans around here to feed it. But the plum is the center of it, and there's a wax myrtle right over there, which is a native. And then we've got our as always, we've got dog fennel, and we've got crepe myrtles that are coming up. And the crepe myrtles that come up, they come up from the roots of this big stand of crepe myrtles right here. I chopped them all down and dropped them too, because we don't need crepe myrtles all over the food forest. I don't really have any use for crepe myrtles in here, except that they provide a little bit of shade and they're kind of pleasant looking. They're not really that useful. Pollinators don't seem to like them that much. And they come up everywhere. I didn't know that they ran from the roots, but they really do. They're all through the food forest now. Probably since we stopped mowing and started letting trees grow, they just worked their way in. And I just use them as chop and drop, might as well. Part of the problem as the food forest grows, one of the problems you get is that you don't get enough light and your productivity starts to drop. So it's important to just keep knocking things down, like let a little light in here. A little more light, you get a little more growth, you get a little more fruit. And remember, your fruit trees really need that sunlight to make sugar, because fruits are mostly sugar. So getting that sugar going requires the sunlight. There's not a lot of plants that like to fruit in the shade. There's a few, but not a lot. Wax myrtle, native nitrogen fixer. It grew itself here. I just let it go. I guess I'm not making candles this year. Probably any year. Just drop stuff on the ground, let it rot. I don't have to bring in mulch. I've got it right here. This is one of our best ones. If you guys don't have this plant, Tithonia diversifolia, the Mexican sunflower, it can get about 20 feet tall if you're in zones, probably 8B, all the way down to the tropics. Really good at making biomass. There's another one that's called Mexican sunflower that's a relative of this, which is not as productive on biomass because it's an annual, but this one's a perennial. It comes back from the ground here even in, this one came back after snow, surprisingly. But it picks up a lot of phosphorus in particular, makes a lot of biomass. It can be cut multiple times a year, and you can build the soil with it. And if you want cuttings, my daughter has it in her seed store. I highly recommend it. If you don't have it, get some. This variety does not self-seed. It's not weedy. It seems to be a sterile cultivar. So get yourself some Teutonia diversifolia. I'll put a link below. Really useful. You can just take cuttings, stick the cuttings in the ground, they root, and then within a year you've got 6 months, you know, they're 15, 20 feet tall. It's ridiculous. Extremely useful plant. We've deliberately planted quite a bit of nitrogen fixers and nutrient accumulators like the Mexican sunflower, the black locust, but we also just use the weeds that we have. Remember that all these plants are accumulating nutrients. They are making carbon, and they can improve your soil. So here we have more dog fennel, which has its uses, but it's generally considered to be a weed. And it comes back from the ground again and again, shows up in old fields and broken areas. So I've got a little persimmon right here, and it's being surrounded by dog fennel. So why not feed the dog fennel to the persimmon? Sometimes it's not a matter of getting mulch or planting the right plants or doing everything perfect. It's more a matter of looking and saying, what do I have available to me right now that I can use to feed the soil? You do have something. You've got weeds. You've got hedge trimmings. Your neighbor's probably got trees they're cutting down. You got fall leaves you can pick up by the side of the road. But if it grows here and it wants to grow in my sand, I can use any of these things for chop and drop. It doesn't have to be something special. I don't have to buy it. I don't have to start it. There are great benefits, you know, to some of the ones that we've added, like the Teutonia. But in a pinch, use what you have. Free up this chestnut. We've got wisteria, got some wild cherry, dog fennel, bindweed. Everything wants a piece of this. All can be fed back to the soil. Slash those weeds up into bits and just imagine them all rotting down and feeding the earthworms and feeding the fungi, making that tree happy, letting it breathe, the vines off it. Got some velvet beans in here too. And then I just go out a little bit further and say, hey, what's around here that I can throw to this thing? Oh, look at that. There's a mimosa right there. Why not? Throw a little mimosa. Some wisteria wrapping around dog fennel right into the ground. And if you chop the pieces a little smaller, they rot faster. Larger pieces rot slower. So if you want your mulch to stick around longer, larger chunks. If you want it to degrade and feed faster, smaller chunks. My father-in-law got me this Ryobi battery-operated string trimmer, but then he also got me this brush cutter blade on the end. This thing is a boss. I was not that impressed with battery-powered tools in the past, but this one really cuts. I can cut a long time on one battery, and it does a lot of hard work. And since my lawnmower's not working right now, I've been using this to cut the brush as it comes up. It can handle the grass and it can handle the brush. So we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup in here, and I'll show you how it works. It's pretty cool.
Pokeweed wisteria, I don't fear ya. Dog fennel near ya, I don't fear ya. Chopping on you, chopping on you, chopping on you suckers down. We'll come to machete and you're laying on the ground. I'ma drop you where you rock. You grew where you should not. All your carbon belongs to us. Get those minerals all up. Ink stains on my hands from the pokeweed. I'll chuck your seeds in the forest as I compost my enemies. lack of light is the disease, and you're choking out the breeze. And my hood is full of weeds, but your humor's where I bleed. Just what I found, don't need to buy the bags of town. All the weeds on the ground, riding down in a mound. Put your rod down, I put your rod down, I put your rod down, I put your rod down. David G with the hip hop, chop, drop. Yeah. Serious gardening knowledge.
Pretty cool. It's fast. If you don't like to go automated, like this battery power tool, right? You can also use the side. And I have used the side to do this kind of work before in the food forest. But this thing really knocks the brush down, so as long as we have electrical power, I don't mind using it. It's a lot of fun. So last year we planted jelly melons. We found that, as James Prigioni had said, they were not really that great a vegetable, but they did come back. There was a bunch of them that rotted down here, and this whole area is jelly melons, so I guess maybe they've naturalized. We'll get some again. I'll find a way to eat them. I'm certainly just going to count them on my chalkboard because it's food, even if we don't necessarily eat them. Velvet beans are one of our favorite nitrogen fixers. They climb all over everything, they make a big mess, but they make a lot of nitrogen. They're really great if you plant them in a bare area where you really want to get some more nitrogen in the ground, like just right on the ground in the sand. They just cover the whole area, make a lot of green, leave a lot of nitrogen behind. A lot of biomass. I'm trying to decide if I want to take this natural arch out or just leave it. It's so fancy. Just go under this arch, but it's, see, we've got velvet beans forming on it over here. It's really, just put this in a garden design book right now. Look at that. This was carefully grew back from the ground after the freezes. And then we carefully entwined velvet beans all over it. See the velvet beans coming from over here, going up there and pulling it. I don't even know what's going on with the velvet beans. I think I'm just gonna leave it because it's about, basically it's the 16th natural wonder of the permaculture world at this point. You can see how tall that one is, right behind it. So, that's wild. Let's just contemplate it. I like it. We have another plum tree right here that I want to free up and give it some more light. I have a Musa Basju, Japanese fiber banana. This is a very cold, hardy banana that we started growing as a chop and drop. This one is not that big yet. I just put it in a few months ago, but it'll make a big stand of bananas here, hopefully, eventually. I'm gonna take these Mexican sunflowers and free the light up on this side. I just chop these into pieces. If they're laying on top of the ground, they don't re-root, but if they get stuck in the ground, they do root, so this is a good thing to know. And here I've got a nitrogen fixer. I'm not sure what species it is. I got it from a native plant nursery that I can't remember the name of. And I wish I could so I could give them a shout out. If I bought this weird plant from you, leave a comment. Some sort of a native nitrogen fixing tree. But it survived so far. It came from the Florida, somewhere in the Florida panhandle. Get a little light in here. I don't feel like I need to clear everything around this. I've got some pumpkins that are coming out right here from a compost pile that I don't want to disturb. And then I've got some of this Celosia argentea, which is a nice leaf vegetable that my daughter also sells in her seed store. It's just a really pretty cut flower. It makes a nice flower arrangement. The flowers keep for a very long time. They're very pretty. Pollinators like them. And they come back. They tend to self-seed and come back. So that one is being left alone. But I see it as I come around to the other side here, there is a mimosa on this side that I can take down and throw in there underneath without messing with my celosias. You can actually see how good these things are at fixing nitrogen. Look at how dark green those are. They're almost black. They're almost as black as this machete blade. They're loaded with nitrogen. So these get thrown in here while it's wet and rainy and before the season's over, when they're gonna rot down really nicely, feed the tree, make compost, keep some cover on this sand. And one of the best things you can do for sand is to keep it mulched. And why not mulch it with mimosas? Compost your enemies. Send some of these guys in there. Now I should probably tell you guys, when you're using a machete, be extremely careful. I've cut myself before with a machete very badly because I was wearing a hat. I was wearing a straw hat. The machete had a hook on the back. It caught the edge of the straw hat, misdirected my blow, and I cut through 2 tendons in the back of this hand. You guys may have been around back when I did that on this channel. It was not a good thing. So make sure you don't have anybody near you when you're swinging a machete around. Make sure you've practiced with a machete a little bit. I grew up using a machete and I still made a bad mistake. But, you know, if you're cutting close to the ground, often you can start swinging like this and cut the front of your shin. This is a really common injury we saw down in the Caribbean. The farmers would always say, when you're down there cutting, you start to get a little sloppy sometimes. You're cutting the brush and chop right through. And you can hit the front of your shins. So it's barefoot, not a great idea unless you're working up here, you know. I mean, it's not that I've never macheted barefoot, but I try not to, particularly, you know, when you get swinging around and you got a large machete. And then don't wear shorts. Having just a little bit of cloth there is good. I've got my boots on today, which helps. It's not, you know, it's physics are unforgiving. You could easily just cut your own hand off or just slice through your own head. And if I were to swing this all the way around and it just slow motion came right back up my face, it would be like, and then I would have no face. And then it would be like, what am I gonna do? Start a Minecraft channel, probably, something like that. But it could just be like, and if it was a live stream, cut your face on a live stream, you know? Then it's, next thing you know, it's on the news. Citizen Free Press is reporting that, you know, gardening YouTuber cuts his face in half on a live stream. And if you're gonna cut your face in half, just make sure that, you know, you're not live when you do it. This is one of those basic things to plan ahead for. And that's how you build soil. Right there. Look at that. That's just awesome. See back here, look at the turmeric growing in the shade. Happy turmeric blooming back here. Celosias, plum. There's a lot of life in here. Don't cut your face in half. These are the what we call biomass canna musifolia. I love them. They're a nice chop and drop. They make a lot of mass, and they're pretty looking. But later in the year, the bugs tend to chew them all up. We're just dropping everything on the ground. Our plum is what needs care and love. So this is actually a sucker. That's a plum sucker. We don't need that unless we wanted to graft onto it. I could probably turn around and, you know, dig it up for the nursery, when it's bare root and use it as a rootstock, but I don't need to. There's some ginger, really pretty under here. They can tolerate the shade. Some pretty gingers. And I don't think I need to do much more in here. I'm just trying to keep this educational content going. I think you've probably learned a lot today so far. I don't know how much more you guys could learn out of this video, so I don't want to push it that much. But I've sure learned a lot so far. You gotta be really careful with this guy here. Like if you were to do this and you accidentally turned it on, you know, with your foot, you could cut your hand off. If you put it in your eye, you would cut your eye off. If you don't have these safety glasses right here with complete protection all the way around your eyeballs, something could shoot in. Or you could just be like this, and then you could come across your toe and just go like, Thank you all for joining me. We are doing a food forest challenge over in my school group. If you want to jump in, we're trying to get at least 10 people by Halloween to plant their first food forest. So check out the link below. I've got a trailer video for it. You can see what it's all about. You can join the community, watch all the food forest design courses, and start a food forest the easy way. Break your analysis paralysis, get a food forest in the next couple of months, and join a bunch of other food foresters who are doing the same thing. So I'll put a link to that below, and if you want seeds, cuttings, all that sort of thing, again, check out my daughter's seed store. I'll put a link to that as well. Thanks for joining me. Go out there and chop some stuff down. Compost your enemies. And until next time, may your thumbs always be purple. It looks totally real.